Welcome. You are here with Dr. Nilda Perez with Business Foresight, creating strategies towards your extraordinary future. Hello, and welcome to Dr. Nilda Business Foresight Show. As always, I'm always scoping out new talent and people that are just amazing. And I have today two doctors of not medicine, but two doctors of administration and technology, and together they're an awesome team. And to boot, today's their anniversary. Yay! So let me tell you a little bit about them. They're business consultants. They're public speakers for over 30 years between them both. They are technologists and business, and what they work on is companies. Now, the beauty of this and what fascinated me most is that I think, as most of you know, most doctors or most PhDers teach. Mm-hmm. And you guys actually took it to practicality, and you actually did something with it beyond that, right, academic structure, which is what I did, and I thought I was the only one. So, I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated to meet other people that are doing what I'm doing, but even better, because you guys have been doing it for over 30 years.
Right.
So, so let me ask you a question. Given that you guys really took this to the next level and have been doing fascinating things and been working with corporations, what made you go that route?
Oh, that's a good question. I started out as a young child determined to not be the employee. And so I immediately went into leadership as soon as I could. And I realized there was a real need for leaders to have somebody to support them and to help them and teach them. And as I got into public speaking, I found more and more that the employees came for courses, that there was a real need in leadership as well. And that's usually why the employees needed to come for the courses.
Right.
And so I decided to go ahead and go into consulting, not only to help the employees, but to help the leaders so that they could help their employees. And so, we call ourselves the wellness experts, corporate wellness or business wellness experts.
Love it.
But we're there to help the companies motivate and inspire their people, and to help them with their emotional intelligence, which my book, Emotional Power, goes all about the science behind emotions. Absolutely. Because people don't think there's logic there, but there's logic and emotion go hand in hand. And so I really have enjoyed helping people that way, and it's one of those things I kind of just fell into.
Okay. And you, Dr. Perkins, why don't we call you Dr. Perkins 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Darwin and Karen.
Yeah, that's really pretty much easier that way. Yeah, I introduce myself as Dr. Perkins and then say Darwin. So we don't have to get on the formality thing. Yeah. But I started out in technology. Mm-hmm. So I was a junior programmer like every other junior programmer, and worked my way up through the ranks. And so a lot of project management, a lot of coordination. I had the luck, I guess it is, to work for a number of companies during my career. Okay. And as I started going through the different markets and the different verticals, I started noticing that one company or one set of verticals knew something about something that nobody else knew. Okay. And then somebody else knew something that nobody else knew. And back 100 years ago, when project management was just kind of starting, it was actually the insurance companies that started project management, because they were the ones that had that kind of need. And then it moved over to IT, and then it grew from there. 15 years ago, business had no idea what project management is, and quite frankly, they don't anymore either. But but at the same time, it is the kind of thing where I've got a large amount of knowledge in the IT sector. Mm-hmm. And because of that, when we sit down with businesses and say, tell us what you're planning, tell us how you're going to do it, I have the ability to talk to the IT people and really understand what it is that they're saying, rather than what it sounds like they're saying to the business. So between us, then, we've got a really good match. We've got both the business side and we've got the tech side. And so we really can help direct those managers and help them to understand what it is that's going on in their business. And then that one step farther, how do you make your business well? How do you become a leader instead of just a boss? and move them in that direction. Get their employees involved. Get them anxiously engaged.
Right.
Get them so they really want to be there. They're happy at their job. They're doing the kinds of things that they want to, and they become innovative for the company, which makes the company more profitable.
Okay. So what are the running problems? Because usually that happens. So running problems that you see that are kind of traditional to the companies that you come in. You come in there with your hospital gear to make them well and go do surgery. So what is the problem that you see as a running problem in most large companies?
I'll give one right off: silos. Large companies develop silos. They develop fiefdoms. They develop places where no one else can go. And because of that, a lot of times nobody knows what's in there.
Okay.
And so it's a black box, and when they draw it out as a flow chart, it goes in the black box and something else comes out the other side, but they have no idea what happens inside there. And that, to me, is one of the real failings of the large companies, is that they don't take time to truly understand what the entire company does. But there are these silos that produce something, and hopefully if the right thing goes in it, then the right thing comes out of it. But that's a real hopefully, because generally the right thing not quite goes into it, and then because of that, garbage in, garbage out. You don't get what you think, and so all of a sudden productivity, profitability, all of those kinds of things that company focuses on aren't there. And because it's not a good product or it's not a good process, guess who gets upset? It's not the managers, it's the workers.
Right.
Why am I doing this stuff?
Right. Exactly. And now you find the same situation?
Oh, I see the same situation, but the one I laugh at the most, and I do laugh at it, is that they call us in, they pay us an exorbitant amount of money and ask us to solve their problems, and we go, okay. And so then we go to the frontline employees and say, so what's the problem? And they tell us, and we say, well, how do we fix it? And they tell us, and we go back and tell the leadership, hey, this is your problem and how you fix it. And they go, oh, you're brilliant. And they pay us a lot of money and we go away. And it's like...
And the solution was right there.
It's like, talk to your people.
Right.
So when they ask me, what do we do to solve all of our problems? The first thing I tell them is, communicate with your people on all levels. Because you don't have a single problem within the company that somebody in the company doesn't know how to solve.
Right.
I mean, they know how to solve it.
Right.
But they usually keep it to themselves, the silos, because I'm safe. If nobody else knows how to do it, I'm safe. And they keep it to themselves to fix it because they told somebody else, you know what, we need to do this differently. And somebody went, oh, no, we don't.
Yeah, we don't do things
We
that
don't
way.
do that. That's not how we do it.
That's not how we do it, right.
And so, if there's that open communication and if there's that freedom to, that freedom of safety. I can say and do whatever I need to that is not harmful. And I'll take your ideas, you take my ideas into consideration, and we'll see if we can come up with a solution together. Okay. And I find that doesn't happen as much as it should.
Okay. For my graduate degree, one of the things that we studied was the difference and the change that there is in now flat organizations, which really that whole pyramid, managers over managers over managers, and all the frontline people, it was a lot of dead weight up on top. Do you find that structure is coming back, that almost like a mom and pop or small business kind of entity, where is that happening more in those flat organizations, or are they happening less?
The companies we work with don't have many of them. Will I say that it's happening less? No. Will I could it be happening more? Absolutely. But if it is, they don't need us as much as the other ones do. So we typically get called into the ones that are more of the pyramid. And
I think one of the things coming to fore right now is the Agile module, the Scrum module. And because of that methodology, what you do is you take an expert from 6, 8, 9 areas, and that group then becomes a team that goes out and creates something. And they do that because they've got enough knowledge and expertise in the different areas to be able to know what to do given what the challenges are in that particular area. That's a great model to follow. The problem with that is that it falls apart after about 10 people. And so you can't take an entire organization and turn them into a Scrum organization. You can take individual things and make them Scrum and make them promote the company, which then will promote profitability, which is a great thing to do. But those groups come and go depending on what the requirements are. So what you have to do is you have to have some kind of organization that promotes the ability for people to become innovative. I've got a great idea. Who agrees it's a great idea? Okay, so now we've got 6 people that agree it's a great idea, and we need 2 more because we need somebody from finance and somebody from HR.
So is there, are they having these conversations? Is there this?
A lot of them are, and it depends on how much they buy into that. The real problem with anything is a manager needs to show success. If they don't show success, they will not be a manager. That's how it works. Okay, so they have to have the ability to develop something like that, show a success, and then be able to duplicate it. If they can do that, then yes, it does go. And so it depends on the company.
Well, and I find the biggest fear is making a mistake, and so people don't fess up when they do, and because they can't show success if there's a mistake. And one of the things I love to teach is that I have 3 office rules.
Yeah.
Okay, office rule number 1. Everyone makes mistakes, learn from it, don't do it again.
Right.
Office rule number 2, fix it. Then return to rule number 1.
Right.
Rule number 3, if you can't fix it, return to rule number 1.
Right.
Because if you don't punish them for making a mistake, but you teach them how to fix it,
And
they're
process.
more likely to bring it forward.
Right, and process that with them. Like, okay, because nobody makes 100% a mistake. Where was that breakdown? What was it? Where was that breakdown? And why did that happen?
And how do we prevent it from happening again?
Right.
Where if you hide it, it not only doesn't get fixed, but it grows, it morphs.
Right.
And then you find it at the most inopportune time.
Exactly.
So-
Well, and you can see, you can walk into any organization anywhere in the world and talk to any one person and say, what is the biggest problem? And you will get a valid answer. So going into an environment or creating an environment where your biggest problem can be solved, regardless who you are and where you sit in the company, shouldn't be a big deal. And what we teach the leaders is we teach them how to begin to lead in a fashion that allows for that to happen. Because a lot of times we don't do it that way.
Right.
Right. And you're not allowed to be in that area because that's not your job. Those kinds of things. And if you can break down those barriers and people can begin to talk and then become innovative, then all of a sudden the company, the entire profile changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. I love it. So, from the line, the frontline employees, what do you see as the running problem? Because I remember being on that end and knowing very quickly in my early career that I didn't want to be there very long. I didn't like it. No.
Well, some frontline employees, that's all they ever want to be because the responsibility of doing something different, being the supervisor, being the head of the line, whatever, is frightening. So they enjoy being the frontline employee. And with that, they want, though, the freedom to do their job the way they know it will be best done. And so they need to feel trusted.
And they want to do the job.
Oh,
They want to.
Very few that don't want to do the job. Most of them want to do the job, and they want to excel, and they want to succeed.
Okay.
And truly, and then here's this a whole nother coin, is that if people are not succeeding at their job, they know it. And they don't want to be there, but people don't want to quit because quitters are losers, losers are quitters, and if I quit, I put my family in jeopardy. And so that's one of the things I teach the companies is help them succeed, and if not at their job, find another place in the company they can, teach them the skills, and if they're just not getting it, love them enough to let them go.
Right.
Because if you let them go, they're not the villain. Now they're the one that everybody, all their support group comes and gathers around them and loves them and says, we'll figure it out.
Right.
Where if they just quit, everybody's like, how are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to eat? How are we going to pay? What's going to do for a mortgage?
Right.
So do them a favor. But don't just fire people willy-nilly. Teach them first, help them, love them, and let them know, I want you to succeed. And if they're off track, tell them, hey, you're off track a little bit. What can we do to get you back on track?
And also the other thing is finding what their skills are.
Mm-hmm.
They may be in a job because that's the job they gave them. And oftentimes, I see this often. People would come in and they wanted a specific job, and well, that's not available. Okay, so then they took what was available, and they never got the opportunity to go to what they,
Right.
to be transferred over to what they really wanted to do.
Yeah, and I think it's even beyond that. A lot of it has to do with the personality type. There are some personalities where you can give them a
Absolutely.
job and they will be happy in that job for the rest of their life. And that gives them the satisfaction that they need. They get any other recompense, if you will, from outside of the job. They just want the job. They get very good at it. They're very reliable people. They're great. There are others who are here and there and here and there and there and there and there. Yeah, and yeah. They couldn't hold a job for 20 minutes if they, if it was their
Well,
responsibility.
it's time to move on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just time to move on.
I've done my job. It's time to go find something
Yeah.
else.
And they did it well. So
And those are great people. Those are the ones who are going and exciting people to get things done. So there's a place for them too. And there's others who, when they say, I have a good idea, it is the good idea. And whether anybody else believes it or not, it is still the good. That's your manager.
Okay.
That's a person who can move
You
things
should
through,
make the
who can
manager.
gather people around and say, okay, I got something cool, let's go do it.
Well-
Those kinds of things. And if you don't take into account the personalities in the jobs, then
Okay.
you start to develop an environment where the people say, they don't care about me, they don't like me, they don't appreciate, and all that.
In addition to that, though, I like to teach the HR departments and the managers, teach your people to volunteer for what they want to do.
Yeah.
oh, I love that.
People are afraid to
I love
volunteer
that.
and say, hey, I want this other position because they're afraid.
Right.
Well, what if I'm rejected? What if they don't think I can do it? What if, hey,
and
volunteer.
What if I go back to that 30-day trial and they didn't make it and I lose my job?
Yeah.
That's
Yep,
the other
exactly.
thing. So that's scary.
Teach them to volunteer and make volunteering a safe thing.
Okay, I love that. I love it. So you also speak, and
Yes.
you both do.
Yes.
So what are the topics that you cover?
The main topics I like to cover is emotional intelligence, dealing with difficult people, and leadership skills.
Okay.
And I deal with change, basically. So corporate change, organizational change. How do you deal with that? And it's more than just the grief cycle, but it really is what's involved. You get a new project in, you get a new system in, you get that kind of thing going. It's a bet your company kind of thing. How do you get your people on board with that? And then once that thing happens, whatever it is, how do you go to the next level when the next person walks in the door, has no idea what you just did?
Right.
How do they come up to speed? So it's that entire continuity thing that people are just now starting to recognize, but that's a major thing. That's efficiency, that's profitability. That's where it either works or it doesn't work.
Right.
And it's a long-term thing. And I'd love to talk about that because we're just now getting to the point where we've got systems that will support that kind of thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what's the next thing for you guys? I'm an innovator and I always look at the future. So what's the future for the both of you?
Well, let's see. I invented 2 things for the airlines last week.
That's great.
I did.
Are you good?
How they do their luggage better and what to do with stuff on the floor.
Okay.
I'm always coming up with ideas.
Well, you should get those ideas patented.
I'll tell
Okay.
you what, I've had more ideas that 20 years later somebody finally patented. They can have the patent, just do it so
Yeah.
it's convenient for me.
Yeah. No,
No, seriously, for us, go ahead.
We are having fun right now, and we really enjoy what we're doing. We spend a lot of time speaking and mentoring with the senior managers. We love to do that. We're old enough now; they pay attention to us. So it really is kind of nice that we've got the authority of age now.
Okay. Well, you have the authority of in a lot of different areas, not just the age. Trust me.
But I think
more than me.
Oh.
Thank you. So I think probably for the next 3 or 4 years at least, that's probably what we're going to do. We're talking about doing some work over in Asia again, and love to do some seminars there and help them come up to speed. So it really is, we're moving more and more towards a seminar kind of thing, and away from consulting a little bit, but the senior coaching we love.
Senior coaching, corporate retreats, things of that nature.
Okay, that's awesome. That's so fun. And you guys are so much fun. So happy anniversary.
Well, thank you very much.
And you guys, what are you going to do tonight?
You don't want us to
we don't
talk
want to know
about
that. I mean, before that.
We're actually going to go to the event, here at the event.
Okay, okay, all right. And then you probably do a nice romantic dinner.
Oh, we do romantic dinners every night.
Oh, okay, so this one won't be... Okay.
Every day's romantic with this man.
Okay. Oh, I love that. I love it. So guys, thank you so much. This was really awesome. And again, it is great for the audience because some of our audience is, they're frontline or they're in that area. And it doesn't matter what space they're in. Here are two doctors, Dr. Darwin and Dr. Karen Perkins, and they're just amazing. I fell in love with them. I met them a few days ago, and I fell in love. I was like,
fell in love with you too.
I have to interview them, but it's just it has been awesome. So so we will continue this conversation. Possibly the next time I see you, that stuff will be patented, and
there you go,
multi-millionaire, and I can go in your private plane.
There you go. You and I need to just get together with Boeing. And you can help me with that, okay?
We've got, there we go.
There you go.
Okay. All right, guys. So until next week, thanks again for visiting with us. And I'll bring you even more guests next week. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
I want to thank you for being with us on Business Foresight, always creating strategies towards an extraordinary future. Remember, I'm here with you with strategies every Saturday. I'll see you next week.